Hey guys, thank you for joining us for another exciting episode of Yomo. This is the Year of Magical Learning podcast. We are doing Reflection 230, and it's a part three of five of our top five favorite book, which is Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman.
Yeah, excited to pick back up on this one. Like you mentioned, we're on part 3 of 5. This particular reflection, for anybody, I guess we'll talk about it in the reflection, what the book's about. Just a quick refresher of the book itself. It's a book written by a famous psychologist and behavioral economist named Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, and it's about our two systems of our brain. One is our thinking fast brain, and one is our thinking slow brain. So the thinking fast brain is a little bit more autonomous. Right, not scared anymore.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, not scared anymore though. I can tell you that. So yeah, we'll get into it in the reflection overall. I think the reflection title of this one is System 1 is the real star of the show. And as you mentioned right before we jumped on this one, we've touched on this topic so many different times through our discussions, through the Year of Magical Learning discussions. This is the first time I really, introduced it explicitly in the reflection. So this may be a quick one potentially today because you never know. We always find things that we want to talk about. So we'll probably go 500 different directions. Maybe
it's a different question.
Right, exactly. So what I mean by the System 1 is the real star of the show. As we've talked about, as you and I have talked about a million times, I'm not telling you anything you don't know at this point in time, but 99, probably 0.9% of our actions every single day are run by our System 1, our thinking fast brain, the one that's had millions of years of evolution and trial and error and trying to figure out what's the best course of action for us to take on any given day and programming our brains and our chemicals in our body to go do the stuff that it needs to go do in order to make life happen, to make us be able to function in this world every single day and know where we are, know how to interact with the world and how to interact with people around us and just, how to get by, in general. When I first started to read Thinking Fast and Slow, I figured because the System 2 is the more the rational thinking brain, the logic, the let's put our thinking caps on and we'll problem solve our way through this. I always thought like, oh, that's what's going to be, the hero of the story here. That's what's going to make us unique and human. That's what's going to make us the superhero here, right? Like this is stuff that only humans can do kind of thing, right? And actually the funny thing is that the more I got further and further into the story, and the more I've gone further and further down this journey, we're told in society all the time. I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like you're just beat over the head as a kid, rationality and logic, science, rationality, logic. I go take jogs down the road and you ever seen those signs where it's like, science is real, blah, blah, blah. Like, and it's like this list of all this stuff that people want to put in a yard sign. It's like, science is real, love is love and blah, blah, blah. I can't remember all the stuff that's always on it, but there's like 5 things that's in there. Clearly to tell people like you're an idiot if you don't believe in like things like global warming or whatever, and not that I really want to get into those kind of topics, but the point is like, I think like we're the intellectual community, especially in the Western world, is dominated by the idea of rationality and logic. And that's how I always was. My whole life, I've always been somebody that's tried to follow that same line of thinking and really thought, hey, like whoever can be the most logical should be the winner. I remember this book that I read back in college by my favorite professor with econ, the philosophy of economics course. One of the books that he made me read, one of the rare books that I read in college that wasn't a textbook, was given to me by that professor. It was this book called The Curious Enlightenment of Professor Keratan. And I was like, he gave us this book to read as an assignment. I was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, I don't want to read this shit. The book was about this professor named Professor Keratan, who he lived in this place called, I can't remember what world that he lived in, but his society was having troubles. And he was dispatched by his society to go to some of the other world powers, which was Militaria, Utilitaria, Libertaria, and I can't remember the fourth one, but the one that he would go to each one of these worlds and he would research it, live amongst the people, figure out how they operate, what their logic was, what their, in Militaria, obviously it was very authoritarian. It was very, play by the rules and all about war and whatever, and the war machine. And Libertaria was all about freedom and free speech, and, and he would see the great things about it, and then he would see the awful things about it. Well, in Utilitaria, this is like the Spock, society, like logic dominated society, everything is made on the utility decision of like, when do you what do you do with old people? Well, once they don't.
But I get to 40, you kill them off because
pretty much
they're no use, but they're taking as much resources as an adult, right? Because
right.
as far as utility is concerned, then these guys basically on its way
Pass the
down.
time. They're just a cost in society at that point in time.
It's a negative sum when you get to that age.
Yeah, exactly. That was the argument of utilitarian. And, when I was in college, like when I was reading this book, I was like, I know this is supposed to be symbolic. In the final chapter, he comes back to his society. He's like, look, I've traveled all over to all these different places. And the truth is we have to blend a little bit of everybody. And obviously that was the message that he delivered back to his people. He was like, because nobody's perfect, but it's like using all the ideas, yada, yada, yada. That was the gist of the story. It was fun though. I enjoyed the story. However, what I was getting at when I'm telling you all this is utilitarian was the one that was like most appealing to me, because I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. Like that's like, I guess that just logically makes sense. If you can't produce something better for society, then why would you be here? Anyway, so like for me, that was always the way that I feel like my brain worked before this whole journey, for sure. As I went through this book, and as we've talked about with the happiness hypothesis, Nudge, Blink, all the other books in this journey that we've continued to unpack how powerful our unconscious is and our elephant is and the system one is, it really dawned on me as I was reading this book, like, shit, that's really the star of the show, man. Like, we can't do anything. I can't play tennis. I can't, I mean, think about, like, I gave the example of tennis in here. Like, if I was trying to go play tennis and to think about all the coordination that my body has to do, breathing, my eyesight, the trajectory of the ball and the swing of the pattern of the hands, like on the full sprint and doing this. So if I was to like try to logically figure all that shit out one by one, and to go like, well, I need to do this, and then I just got to move my hand like this. And you know what I mean? If I try to do all that with my system 2 brain and really think about it, like I wouldn't even, I don't know. We wouldn't even survive. We would die. Like, let's just be honest. Like, if every decision that we had to make in the course of the day, was dictated by that logical brain, we wouldn't get very far in this world. And so for me, that was the revelation to survive. Yeah, and that was kind of
one second you say, hey, I forgot to balance myself. Boom. Yeah, then the paper say, okay. Like, okay, there's like 10 million things that it's doing all at once. And then if you had to do without the system one, so essentially you're gonna forget something else. Like, to forget like 999 other things, 999,000 of other things.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is if there's 1,000 decisions to be made, we automatically make 999. Then we let our writer, focus on that one that we can, maybe get a little bit better at or something like that, and that's fine. Like, and that's how it's supposed to be. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, system 2, there's a lot of great things about it.
And we would draw our system 2 from doing anything. It's like, oh, I'm exhausted. I don't want to do nothing. It's like,
Exactly.
So it's like it goes into this little corner and it cries his eyes out.
Yeah,
it's not even like, okay, you must deliver that 1%. No, the system 1 takes everything. It's system 2 to start decide to go into the corner and bury his head in the sand. Right? Because he's not doing anything. He's like, I'm depressed. I'm gonna go put my head in the sand.
Exactly.
He doesn't do anything.
If anything, focusing on the wrong shit can distract your system 1 from doing everything else, what it's supposed to do. Like, if anything, you can only you're probably more detrimental.
The same thing is like system 1 say, hey, don't eat that, past due green molded covered chocolate bar. And system 1 2 say, I want to eat it if I want to.
Yeah, you never know.
Eat it, right?
Yeah.
System 1 is trying to prevent you from dying. You think about
Pretty
it.
much.
Yeah. Not only they have to breathe, maintain balance, prevent you from dying, send the right resources, send the right antibodies, send a lot of things that you don't realize. And I'm telling you, it's doing, because without it, like, your system 1 always causes it actually runs everything. You cannot live without system 1, because the moment that you take away system 1, you realize there's certain things that, hey, I didn't know we're supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Do you know that you're supposed to maintain your body from foreign bodies? From like the bacteria. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, now I know. Okay, when I sit around, I'm being attacked everywhere. Like, suddenly, I have no more
all of our
stomach.
senses, our bodily functions, our senses, our ability to talk and
blink, dodge.
Right.
Like, if I throw something at you, like, well, what do you do? It blinks, it dodges, right?
Right. It's in the world of the scene.
And somebody grabs you from behind. What happened? Right? It has to say, hey, look, somebody's grabbing you behind. Like, all the sensors, right? It's all system 1's control, because it is instinctively do. Because that's what I'm saying. Like, for like martial arts, right? You actually practice to the point where the system 1 has the utility of it, and it does it automatically in the fight. In the fight, you can't think. And so
you absolutely can't think,
because it's doing everything. Yeah. System 2 just hides in the corner somewhere until the fight's done.
It's supposed to. It should. Sometimes it wants to poke its little head out and
Well, you
take
think
control.
about it. When you're in a fight, are you in thinking mode?
I'll say this: you can buy yourself a little bit more time by doing visualizations and trainings and practice beforehand to slow things down just a little bit more for your system one, deliberate practice or something like that. But once
But
the
two, get the
game is
heck out of
on,
there.
yeah, once
That's
the
what I'm
game is
saying.
on,
The moment that it is in action, system two, that's your system two talking to system one, regardless
exactly.
of what system one did for you.
Exactly. No, you're spot on. I mean, it's a
It's like, hey, you're not very good. You say, well, it wasn't for me, you'd be dead. You wouldn't have the opportunity to criticize me. But that's the thing. It's based on perspectives of the conditioning of society. System one, it's very, very influenced by society and how we think, right? We think the same way. And then eventually those thinking puts the little indentations inside of system one and allows system one to say, well, this is one of your, it's either a enhancement or a one of those dampeners that prevents you from being good at what you do.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, it's I don't know, man. We've talked about this one so many times that it's like, for us, I'm actually wondering here, how about this? How about this as a question for us, as just like a thought question or a thought experiment? Like, what would life be like if you didn't have a system two? Would you rather have that?
Like I said, you don't have system two. We are basically like an elephant.
Yeah, but elephants
But
are,
the thing
I mean,
is,
they're pretty intelligent.
no, the thing is, all animals have this system one. So so are we. It's just that the conditioning. Let's say, so I talked about this before. Like, how does river get formed?
It just keeps. What do you mean? Like over time, eroding, through
No,
rocks.
that's how does river get formed in the first place?
I mean, a bunch of rain pools up in a low
Exactly.
valley
So
area.
you have the cloud, right? You have the sun heats up the water over here. It rises in the cloud, becomes this fluffy air. The wind blows it across something, and then it starts to precipitate and go down. And the water has to find a path to go down back to the ocean to get collected and recycled again. There's always some kind of a trail, right? And you want to go, toward that. You follow the trail. You don't say, I'm going to carve my new path here, right? Let's say you go onto some kind of, they would put a corner, right, so that people can walk in the corner. But then you see this curve, the shortcut, right? It curves, and you have this path where people walked on, and it basically they had to carve a path, right? So essentially, the rain over time will follow the same path because of its natural ability to say, well, if there is already a lower point, it's easy to follow that path. So over time, these number of stimuli that we get as an elephant with our system to kind of dictate, it actually based on that randomness theory. Just like, you put an animal inside of a cage or whatever, eventually it's gonna, based on the inputs of all these stimulus that it has, right? It's gonna carve its natural brain path, whatever, like the river does. As a human being, right? System two has the ability to filter. That's the only thing it does. It does not it's basically another layer between the stimulus and system one. The good thing is for me, like I say, hey, don't think of an elephant. You immediately think of an elephant. But it is up to you to decide what to do with information. You cannot say, hey, I won't take the information. If you're within the distance of my voice, you will get the information regardless of whether you want it or not. But I think system one is the one that has to do all the work. So system two becomes this firewall, so it filters out all the stuff. So that's why the number of time you do a certain thing, it doesn't actually carve you into this, like a river. It carves into the indentations of the terrain. It doesn't create a strong connection on that neurons. So basically, those neurons are more weighted towards system two, saying this kind of habit is good to do. So the system two gets the information, filters out, and pass it in. So sometimes you pass in the wrong information, it becomes a drug addict or whatever. Basically, it gives you that extra layer. But if we don't have system two, the slow part of the brain, you think about it.
Yeah, but that's kind of my question is it better to be that?
No. I think having flexibility, just like
Well, it's because they still have
I
all
mean,
the emotions. They
go
still
back
have
to
all
what I'm
the
saying before. Everything has its pros and cons, okay? Because if I were to give you a sword, right? I mean, the thing is, in the medieval world, right? You have a sword if you want to defend yourself,
right.
right? And so a sword could be bad for you. You could be, stabbed by your own sword, right? Or because you have a sword, other people want to fight you, right? So having a sword is both good and bad. Having a second brain is actually also good and bad, because it allows you to create completely channel the wrong thing into your brain. You're basically system one say, okay, I'm gonna listen to system two now, because system two, that's your job now. I'm gonna take the stimulus in and I'm gonna send it to you, and then you send back to me some feedback. You gotta go out there and be my scouts, right? Be my scouts and tell me what's going on. When something comes in, I automatically notify you, but you gotta process the little thing, right? And send to me some kind of things that maybe I can use.
I guess that's kind of what I was getting at, is like, when you do that, you get things like.
So my question is, would you prefer to be a human or be a chimpanzee?
But that's what I was going to say, is like by doing that, you get things like science and math and construction and a lot of the stuff that you're just talking about, like as the system two, like that's as you use the higher order thinking, like, is that good or bad? I don't know the answer to that.
The problem I see is like everybody keeps saying, is it good or bad in a universe sense?
Well, sorry, is it helpful or not helpful to us?
Doesn't make sense either.
Well, so the other question behind that is, it reminds me of just finishing up another.
So if you look at like the human being perspective, right? You're asking, hey, would it be better off if human being didn't exist?
No, that's actually a question, because everywhere that we've gone, we destroy
But
shit.
that's the question that you're asking. Is it good for us? That's the perspective you're looking for an answer. And to me, that doesn't exist.
Well, I mean, that's
you can project, but you just say, hey, human beings are bad because of this or whatever. It's what you don't see, right?
Well, I didn't say we're bad.
Just talking about when you're asking for a perspective of human as a species, in that particular perspective, there's no answer to that question.
Oh, right.
Only perspective is the individual, is it good for you, because there is a concrete context in that.
Is it good for you?
I mean, yes, but for you, it could be different.
I mean, that's fair.
I can only answer my perspectives. I can't answer your perspective.
It makes me think of the whole, celeb concept of like the via negativa, right? Just finished that today, right? Of another reminder of that, adding more shit, we add a lot of shit into our lives, like using system two. And honestly, like, let's just call a spade a spade. Like, that is, there are via positive functionality is like, oh, well, what if we did this? What if we did that? What if we did that? What if we did this? What if we did that? Our elephants are the other way around, right? Like, it's our elephants naturally are like, eliminate this, this, and this, because that'll kill us. Like, that's it.
It's like I said, there's no like completely good answers and no completely bad answers, because you can't say yes and you can't say no, because there's always reason why you can support one side or another side.
Yeah, agreed.
A sword, right? You say, well, a sword is bad because it can hurt you and because it invites violence into your life. But then at the same time, you can't really defend yourself. So for me, if you go and say, well, you don't need system one, you don't need system two, because system two can be like the elephant without the rider. It's natural, it doesn't drive the elephant into the mud and get stuck, because system to become a tantrum child, whatever. It to put elephant into a bad situation, because elephant trusts his rider, right? And he got me stuck in this stinking mud hole, whatever. So that's bad. But at the same time, system two can also get you out of trouble. So for me, human beings, right? Yes, a system to allow us to do some like really bad stuff, some nasty stuff to our species and to other species. But at the same time, if we are like the dinosaurs and when the asteroid comes, right, we are sitting ducks. There's nothing we can do. But if we have system two, we can shoot that thing out of the galaxy. We can do something. We can learn about the rise of mammals.
But we did that anyway.
They can burrow inside in some earth, and you can survive. The dinosaur has no capabilities to avoid their fate. Their fate is to go extinct. for us, because this is one of the things, we become very adaptable. This is our strength, but it's also our weakness, because our adaptability allows us to do like crazy shit that is unpredictable.
It is
But that's the thing is, you think about it, like there are random chances where you can say, okay, I have the ability to adapt, and if an asteroid comes, like a dinosaurs, or our species becomes extinct, right? The system two and us allow us to become a completely adaptable species. You say, well, whatever the new world happens to be, I can live in there. I can figure out how to live in there, right?
Potentially, yeah.
But if you say, well, if on the other side, right, with system two, it's like you create all this devastation in your wake. You destroy all this stuff. It's from your perspective, whether that's good or bad, because I can't answer your perspective. I can only answer mine. And because I'd rather have this ability to flux, right? And say, well, you go out there and you drive to work, right? Is there a possibility you can get in a car accident and die?
Sure.
But why do you drive?
I didn't even think about it. I just let my elephant woke up.
So now you know, are you still gonna drive? You're gonna drive, you're gonna go different, you can go to airplane, right? Even though airplane is very, very safe.
If the majority of my neighborhood,
is there a chance that the airplane will go down and completely crash and blow up?
Sure.
Is there a chance?
Sure.
Exactly. Even though it's very low, but you still fly, don't you?
If everybody in my neighborhood that flew a plane or that drove a car to work today, and only 95% of them came back home from work, I probably wouldn't drive to work tomorrow.
No, that's not my point. My point is that it's a possibility that you could kill yourself, but there's also a possibility that you can thrive. And so from my perspective, yes, I would like to have system two. Thank you very much. Because you think about it, like I know that when I go out there, somebody can hit me in the car and I die. And statistics is not like,
but you invented that car. System two is the one that invented the car.
But regardless, you have this ability, right, to go out there and build something. But at the same time, right, you say, well, my ability to do something that is gonna help me, but also there is a chance in either side that I'm gonna build something that will kill me. The question for you is like, I mean, to me, if you're asking for the whole species perspective, hey, should we even exist? And is it better off if we completely die off and become extinct, right? That's a question people ask. And to me, it's like, hey, I don't speak for you or anyone else. So I cannot say, okay, we should do this. That's bullshit. For me, it's like, I can only answer for myself. For you, you can answer that question yourself. So don't ask the questions like, okay, is it better out? Because I'm sick and tired of these people asking stupid questions has no answers to.
Right. That's fair.
There's no point in saying something if you only understand one side, right? When you say, well, I'm against global warming, or I'm for global warming, whatever. But what are you saying? What are you saying? You're not saying anything other than make propaganda and try to push this BS into my head. To me, it's like, I don't thank you. It's not my perspective. You only look at your perspective, and your perspective is like, hey, this is universal sense. I think, global warming can kill us and we need to stop, blah, 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 right? You basically become the philosopher that I hate, right? You have your own philosophy, you force your own. For me, is you didn't ask me, right? You didn't say, okay, from your perspective, do you think it is, beneficial or harmful or whatever? You just tell from your story. And your point of view is essentially the point of view of the whole species.
Right. Which, I mean, obviously I can't.
Because like I say, I cannot answer for yourself because I have no right to do that. I'm not you.
Yeah, no, I mean, totally. And it's a no skin in the game question too, where it's like, I don't know. I mean, you can't really answer. It's a total
I mean, the thing is the vegetarian.
Right.
Right. You are a fucking vegetarian.
That's a good point. I think the reason why, for me, that thought even comes into my head is because for at least my whole life, like I said, I've always seen system two as our superpower. But, as this journey has gone on, I still obviously very much so value it. Otherwise, you and I wouldn't be having this conversation, and it adds more enjoyment to my life. And I get to find a way to connect with my daughter by using system two and things like that. But at the same time, I feel like it is an interesting quandary, but I couldn't ask that question. I didn't have system two, but I couldn't even ask that question.
I will tell you straight. I have never thought about giving up system two. Okay,
I wouldn't. I won't
even consider it. Right? I already taken my positions. So for me, this is not a quandary, right? To me,
Right.
it's black and white. Right? I have system two. I want to keep it. I'm not going to give it back. If you want
Well,
to give it back,
yeah,
that's your prerogative. Don't ask me to
that's
give it back.
that's a good point. It's like trying to give back your what is it? Wealth, never mind. I can't remember. So that's it. All right. It's interesting. All right. I feel like we messed around and found something to talk about
We
for
always
30
do.
minutes
I
here.
mean, always interesting questions you can ask. Like you
Right.
asking, right? The question is, will you be better off without system? No, not for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The question I asked at the end of this was, what would life be like if we had to think slow about everything we did if you got rid of system
No,
one?
you cannot.
Yeah,
I mean, the thing is, you cannot live without system one.
agree.
To me, that's not possible.
But you can live without
Can
system
live
two.
without system two because
Right.
system two came later. But I'm not saying you can't really say, hey, imagine you can imagine what life would be like if you had to think slow about everything because you can't. It doesn't work.
You can't. Well, evolutionarily, it would probably turn into system
I
one.
mean, it take you the whole.
Yeah.
It take you the whole day to keep you alive
Right. It would be.
because you
It
have to
would
do
be.
so many things. Jack, okay, breathe.
Right.
What? How long do I need to hold my breath? Like,
Right.
I
You'd
don't
have
know.
to.
What else? What else can you do?
I don't even know. I mean,
I mean, you're
you.
basically a slob if you
Yeah.
have only system two working because in order for to do 1,000 things, you have to do 1,000 things sequentially.
Yep.
System two cannot multitask.
Agreed.
You think you are multitasking and you're multitasking all along, you are mistaken.
So the moral of the story is system one is the star of the show, but system two also is very important. And I think I'm in
Right. I
agreement
mean,
with you.
it's part of the team. I'm
Yeah.
not going to give away system two for nothing because system two has its benefits and advantages. Yes, and even system one has its negatives, right? Because
Of course.
it being trained to be an elephant, and so once it's trained, right, it's like a big ship. You're asking it to turn on a dime, it just can't do it. It's not a little boat.
Right.
A
beaver's got a dam. The beaver's gonna dam no matter what.
right, you to stop the ship or stop that train, it's not gonna say, I'm gonna stop and run away.
Right.
Let a rider be the rider. Because each has its own duties. You gotta do your duties, and it's good. So don't take it away to your duty is less important, or your duty is you can't live without me, or whatever. To me, it's yeah, yes and no, but there's nothing black and white in our wicked world, right? Our wicked environment. In the real world, nothing that is always black. Nothing is black and white. I mean,
Right.
everything is a spectrum of stuff, like from the whitest to the darkest shades of gray or black, whatever.
Agreed.
And there's millions in between, so you can't really say, "Hi, this or that."
Agreed. Well, that was fun as always, and looking forward to our last two of this one. I don't even remember what I wrote, but I'm sure we'll figure it out when we get there. But any final thoughts for the night?
No, I think we exhaust this topic, so I think everybody understand. But that's the thing is, we have looped a lot of the happiness hypothesis as the explainer, visual
We're
and
we're going through them
the
both.
props.
So like we've been spending a lot of time talking about this elephant for the past couple of weeks. I feel like that's why both you and I were kind of like, I feel like we talked about this because we have. So, but we're almost out of this element. So we're almost there. Awesome. All right. Well, looking forward to tomorrow night and our next exciting episode of part 4 or 5 of Thinking Fast and Slow.
Starman from Daniel Kahneman tomorrow.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.